Okay, we have started the webinar. Hello, everyone. Still gonna get some people, let's see, pouring in slowly. But today, what are we discussing? We're discussing a very interesting topic. Yeah, I see people pouring in slowly. The International Dublin Writers Festival, and we have some new faces here. I'm joined by my coworker Greg Fields, who does acquisitions. He reads all the manuscripts that come in, and he's done, but Greg, I think 3 books with us.
I've done 3 books, yes.
Yeah. The last one was the not Ark of the Comet was your first one. It was oh, I'm blanking. I can see the cover perfectly, and I'm blanking on the title.
No need to mention the first one.
Okay. You said it
The
makes a
latest,
great doorstop, right?
absolutely. But the third one is called The Bright Freight of Memory.
The Bright Freight of Memory. And that came out, I think, late last
Late
year.
November. Late
Yeah,
November. Yeah.
there you go. All right. And if anybody hasn't been here before, I'm Danielle Kohler. I'm the design director. And our guests today are Laurence O'Brien, who is Irish, grew up in Ireland, studied at Oxford University. He's an author of I was looking up I don't know how many books it is. I think you're most famous for the puzzle thriller series. Lots,
Yeah.
yeah, lots of different series. And it looks like they've been translated into over 10 languages. So you've had some success there. And obviously, he's trying to share his success and share his knowledge with everybody through this Writers Festival. And then we also have Annmarie, her author name is Lacy Fewer, who is also a native of Dublin and the author of Yankeeland, which you can see behind her there, which is her debut novel, and was inspired by her grand aunt's letters, which she says haunted her. So we'll ask about
Mhm.
her experience publishing. She's also been to the festival several times. So welcome. Thank you for joining us on this.
Well,
Um,
it's
yeah.
great to be here. Thank you for that introduction and great to see everybody. And I just have to tell you, we're in our 11th year at the International Dublin Writers Festival, but I was inspired by a trip to America, to a writers' festival in America. United States of America has the best and biggest writers' festivals. So that's what inspired me. I wanted to bring that back to Dublin and bring some of the Irishness into it. So that's a brief introduction where I got the idea for the International Dublin Writers Festival. Was the best weekend I ever had in my life in New York City about 15 years ago at a writers festival. The whole weekend meeting writers, talking to writers, going for lunch and dinner with writers and a drink with writers, and then the next day meeting them again. So that's really the inspiration from the festivals, the wonderful writers' festivals in the United States. And we're bringing something Irish to that at the International Dublin Writers Festival.
Yeah,
And
that's
Lawrence, the festival it's been ongoing for 11 years. It's grown fairly substantially, as I understand it. And where is it now, and what are the aspirations for the future?
great.
We focus on creativity. We're not probably not going to get to the 500, 600,000 people you might get at a big festival in Las Vegas. We're more into the small boutique festival idea where we're focusing on creativity, a personal touch, and somewhere where you can go and actually talk to people, talk to the panelists, talk to the other writers, where it's small enough to still be personal. So we've got about 120 people typically. Last year we were booked out as we got near the festival dates, which are September the 19th to the 21st. We got booked up about, I had to close the booking about 10 days before the festival last year. So we got booked up completely. But one of the interesting things that we're doing is that we've got 80 videos, over 80 videos from various people built up during the pandemic times and also various other videos we built up over the last 11 years, which are about panelists and speakers talking about various aspects. And all of those are free for anybody who's watching. We support writers. We're very much into helping writers with their purpose of writing and finding something in creativity. So all of those are free, and there will be details provided. Danielle will provide details of how to
Yeah, we'll
access
send
all this.
everyone an email with access
Yeah.
after the
So
webinar.
there's no catches. There's no bombardment with emails and upsells. Okay, you can unsubscribe anytime to any email, and we typically email people once a month, and you can unsubscribe and still get all your free access to all the videos anytime. This is not a big catch thing trying to get people to buy something else. Okay, so that's the basic outline of what we're talking about today.
And I did forget to mention, if anyone has any questions, you can pop it into the Q&A at the very bottom, and I will be keeping an eye on that and trying to bring them into the conversation every once in a while. Laurence, you mentioned something that you went to a festival in the US and you wanted to bring you said, what was the word you used? The Irishness. You wanted to, what does that mean? How do you make it feel like your own country?
Well, Irish is a bit of Irishness. You might know what that is. Now, hopefully, it's friendliness. Hopefully, it's down to earth. No green rooms where the panelists get
No
hidden away.
leprechauns.
It's possibly some leprechauns. Okay, if we're very lucky. Okay,
Uh,
and some fairies and some magic. But you have to be very lucky to see those. Okay. Usually that's after a couple of short whiskies, but we don't encourage that either at the festival. We're not really into that. I go home early. I've reached a stage where I go home early in any case because I have to get up and manage it the next day and all of that. But you might be lucky to see a leprechaun if you come to Ireland, but you don't have to come to Ireland. We're in the age now where we've got lots of videos of people doing things and really want to support any of the writers. So if anyone here logged on has any questions, please, about coming to Ireland in September and about what type of sessions you have, please go ahead, put them in the comments.
mhm.
Lawrence, you mentioned the intimacy of the festival, and I want to underscore that. The festival would lose its character if it rose to 400 or 500 people, because to me, the real value is the incredible interchange, really at every turn, between writers. Um, there are editors there. The occasional agent will wander in. There are publishers. It's really a community, and it's an accessible community that allows just a constant free-flowing interchange between elements of the process of being a writer. Yeah, I mean, I think you would lose that if it grew too large. Um, I've been to other writers' festivals, and honestly, that intimacy is a key point, and also ties into what I perceive, perhaps falsely, to be the Irishness of it. Um, I'm Irish myself, so it's very easy for me to say that there is a sociability that crosses into the professionalism of being a writer, aspiring to be a writer, and what the festival allows to happen. It's really an incredibly comfortable festival, and that is obviously subjective. I've been there twice. But to me, that's the telling distinction in this rather remarkable festival. I
Yeah,
don't know if you,
must
Annmarie, if you want to add to that.
So yeah, I entered the literary space in 2022 and I knew nobody and I knew nothing, having come from an industry where I knew everybody. And Lawrence has experienced some of my connections. I am well connected in everything but the literary space. And I happened upon the festival. And Lawrence, everything you're saying, and having managed teams for years, the tone from the top is so important, so relevant in any venture. And for me, you are an incredibly genuine person, you're very authentic, and that transpires through to the conference. There was no egos. So when I first went there the first year, even though there was some pretty big names and great speakers, great writers, and I was in awe that I was mixing with these people, but there was absolutely no egos, and that's because that's just not the vibe. It's incredibly collaborative, supportive, really immersive. And I probably, having come from a corporate world, was sort of wondering where's the catch, and there is no catch. It is a really fantastic, collaborative, supportive community. And I now have friends from Australia, author friends, America, France, all over Ireland that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't Laurence attended. So I am your biggest fan.
Thank you. I really appreciate that and all of those words. Very nice to hear that. I want to encourage everybody to think about going not just to our festival, but to writers' festivals in your
Mhm.
local area and to set things up and to start groups and to get things going. So I really appreciate those very nice words, Annmarie. Thank you. But I really want to encourage people. I see writing as a purpose in life. I don't see it as something where I'm constantly looking for a bestseller tag or constantly looking for high sales. I'm looking for that feeling of pride you get. There's something that you've created and that you other people will read. Maybe it's not going to be millions of people, and for most of it, it's not us, it's not millions of people, but that doesn't matter. It's the sense of pride we have, and who knows what's going to happen to the book in years to come. So hopefully we can bring some of that sense of pride, and we're not all expected to be bestsellers, but we can take pride in creating something, creating a good book, creating something with other people and being part of something with other people. So I'm hoping that that is something which we can bring and hopefully people can experience if they come to Ireland. But as I say, you're not required to do that. Some people will just want to watch the videos and feel something from those videos as well.
What I would say, just as a participant, Laurence, the variety is fantastic. So that's really important to encourage people to look at the videos because the variety of the speakers on the various topics, there's nothing that is not covered. So people can attend and can pick and choose or go back on the videos. Huge store and wealth of information there for anybody, whether you're established or new entrant like I was, or you're aspiring, there is something for everybody. So, fantastic selection.
And,
We
I've
and
always been, just to talk about that a little bit, I've always been inspired by movies and I sold the rights a couple of times to one of mine. Always been inspired by Hollywood. And we've always tried to have somebody from that sort of world. We've had various people in the past from that world, from Los Angeles or similar locations. And this year, we have some really good people in that area. We've TD Donnelly, who is from Los Angeles, and he's been involved in projects that have grossed over $1 billion worldwide. He's worked with the works of, he has adapted the classic works of writers such as Ray Bradbury, Clive Cussler, Stan Lee, and Robert E. Howard. Now, he is coming because he has a wonderful session about character. When we're writing, one of the key components of what we're writing, when we're writing fiction, is characters. And I saw his session. I was speaking at Author Nation in Las Vegas, which is a big festival. And last November, I was speaking there. And I met Tom, T.D. Donnelly there. And his session on character was the best thing I've ever seen about character. And it's really important when we write fiction that we understand how to develop character, but characters and how they interplay with each other within that. So Tom is, we're very grateful. Tom is coming in September, and he's going to do his session on character for us here in Ireland on Sunday, the 21st of September, if you can make it.
So it
there
sounds
is
like, oh, sorry, go for it, Greg.
sorry, there is such a diversity of topics in the presentations that, as Annmarie said, it touches every aspect of the writer's experience. But the genres that are covered, I've met writers that write clearly outside my genre, and I've learned from them. I've drawn from them in their own experiences in creating, for example, dystopia or fantasy fiction, um, science fiction, romance. Um, all the genres are covered, and the sessions tend to reflect that diversity that some sessions deal with the mechanics of writing, others deal with the nature of the various genres, others deal with marketing. Um, One of my favorite sessions from a couple of years ago was one that dealt with the rise of artificial intelligence, which I think is more
Mm.
relevant than ever right now.
Mm.
So this diversity is part of the richness, and coupled with the fact that everybody's accessible, you learn as much from the individual or side conversations as you do from the presentations, and you come away with these wonderfully diverse contacts and friendships that really span a number of countries and a number of genres.
So just to get on that AI subject, we had three sessions last year on AI. We're only having one this year. I think a lot of people know about AI, and I think it's probably can create some good non-fiction short pieces, but of course the originality is lacking.
Mm.
And I don't believe its capabilities on fiction are in any way proven at all. It might give us some ideas for a plot, but its ability to create anything. So we're only having one session from somebody about AI. We're really encouraging, and the theme of the festival this year is creativity, and that's about human creativity, because AI only does what we tell it to do. It won't create anything on its own. We have to tell it what to do. We have the prompt idea, okay? It's all about asking questions from this system, which means that it's our creativity which drives it. So my limited experience of creating any piece of fiction with an AI system, with any AI system, is that you have to replace almost every word in the AI generated short story because they just don't resonate or they're completely wrong. Now, your mileage may vary and you may find that you can create a short story from it, but I have found that the words just need to be changed completely. Yes, there are a few ands and tos and buts that you could leave in there, but almost everything else that the AI system generates is inappropriate. So I really want to encourage people just to keep with the human creativity. So we got a lot of sessions about creativity. This year we got sessions on creativity, a lot of editing, human editing sessions, and um, these ideas about creativity. This is what is going to make your novel stand out. This is one of what's going to make your novel resonate with people. Is the human experience that you bring to the table. So I just want to put that AI thing to the side.
Mm. Talking about the range of topics, obviously you get a range of levels of writers from people who don't have any experience, like Lacey, you were saying you were completely new to this world, to people, Laurence, like you, who've been in the industry for many years and written many books. So I kind of want to start with Lacey. What was your experience with, somebody who this was all new for you? How did going to the festival inspire you or teach you something about, that helped you with the process of publishing Yankeeland?
So we are very lucky in Ireland. We are steeped in literary heritage, and there's a huge wealth of, it's overwhelming the sort of amount of opportunities in Ireland. And I can't quite remember how I came across. I saw it advertised, Laurence. I had obviously been looking up. And for me, turning up at this 3-day event, it was really daunting. But again, as I said, Danielle, it was incredibly immersive, supportive. Everybody, there's not one person I met who was not there to help. So for me, that first year was really about learning. So I probably stayed in the shadows a little bit and I made plenty of connections. A couple of people were absolutely wonderful, really, really helpful. So I used you didn't talk about the talent show, Laurence, on the Saturday night. So there's plenty of fun as well. So you've plenty of opportunity to really get to chat to people, and you'll find people you resonate with and who can help you. And that's what I did. I connected with a couple of different people. For me, I needed to understand sort of the self-published versus the traditional landscape, and I needed to really do a deep dive in that and understand that. Um, I had I hadn't finished writing my manuscript either, so I was really, really very, very early days. And I will say that in the industry as a whole, worldwide, there are a lot of sharks. So I do think there is a lot to navigate for any aspiring writer. Um, and I found complete authenticity at the festival, complete authenticity from everyone I met. Nobody led me astray. And that was really important for me. So I was starting from scratch, the bottom of a ladder I wanted to climb, and I was learning, learning, learning. And I made really strong contacts the first year that rolled over to the second year and will roll over to this year because you tend to have a lot of the same participants. Am I right, Laurence? A lot of repeat.
Yeah, there's quite a few repeat. We try and bring something new as well.
Yeah, there's always new topics. Like both years, there was a completely different range of topics, which I found really interesting. And I did meet an author the second year who had published as well with Kohler. So that was helpful. I got to sort of discuss that because I was probably a year behind. So yeah, so there's something for everybody. There are people who are very established who also attend. And there really is, I couldn't stress that enough. It is open to everybody. And that's not always the case with a lot of these festivals. There's another big one in Ireland that I've gone to, and it's really for more very established people. So this one is for everybody.
Mhm.
So I have to warn people. I have to warn people just before you go on. I have to warn people. We do have an America's Got Talent style event on the Saturday evening. Okay, that's at 5 p.m. And that is, you can stand up in front of the whole audience and talk about your book. If you want to pitch it to various of the speakers, experienced speakers at the top, and have everyone in the room listen to you pitching your book. So that's a warning. You may be asked, you're not required to stand up, okay, but you may be asked if you want to stand up and talk about your book. We're also open to people coming and saying that they want to talk about something. So we have slots at panels where you put people in if you've got experience in a particular subject. If you're an expert, if you teach on creativity, for instance, which is one of the things that we do this year, or you're burning to talk about something, you've been studying character or you've been studying dialogue for the last 10 years and you're burning to talk about that subject, we're open to people coming to us and saying, look, I've got experience in this particular area and I want to do a slot either on a panel or we move the agenda around. We fit people in. We get as many speakers as we want and as many new people as we can get to talk to other people and be part of the festival.
Learning to
Like there's a
write a
huge,
good pitch
yeah.
is so, so hard. I had a friend recently who has intentionally not, I haven't read her latest book, and she was pitching to some agents. She sent it to me, and the first version, I just said, this is lacking. You're talking about AI. I know your book's not about that. That's like you said, that's kind of a tired topic now. And me and another friend were critiquing it, and she came back with a second version that was so much stronger. So if you can get any kind of feedback or critique on your pitch, that's the first foot in the door in the industry. We have a question from an author who was going to be there, Elizabeth Murphy, one of our authors of The Faithful Harlot. And it's a good question. Should she be taking copies of her book to the festival? Do you recommend people handing out their books?
But we do have Saturday lunchtime where people bring 5 copies, 10 copies. It's not a big sales occasion, but you will get some people who will buy your book. You'll get a few people buying your book, but please don't bring a box
Mhm.
because you probably won't sell them. You might sell 2, 3, or 5, depending on the power of the book, of course. So it is, yes, bring some copies, particularly so we can see what you're writing and you can show people what you're working on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question because it's not really about that, Lawrence. Sure, it isn't. It's really more
Uh,
about you discussing your craft and, sharing with other writers, authors, people in the literary space. Um, it's not so much about, let's say, selling your wares per se.
Mm.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, on the flip side of Anne-Marie's experience, Greg, you had already published some books when you started going to the Writers' Festival. So did you learn anything new, maybe on marketing? Maybe were there any topics that you said, "Oh, I didn't know this before."
Well, I learned how much I didn't know.
Okay.
It's it's always enlightening to get together with other writers, and there were other writers um, in the years I attended who were further down the road than me. So you always have someone you can learn from. Frankly, I learned more about just marketing in a subtle way, how to present your book, how to summarize it. I'm not very good with summaries, as you
Mhm.
might be able to tell, but uh, just the informal discussions with other authors are invariably going to be helpful. I learned things I did not know I didn't know in regarding marketing, regarding presentation, regarding just what it is to be a writer. One of the great conversations I had was with a writer. We went off to the side and we talked about frustrations, about what doesn't work, and the disappointments of um, trying to get your book in front of certain audiences that are either resistant or inaccessible. Um, the constancy of rejection. Just that conversation was valuable simply because it's a validation that you're not alone in this, and that the things that you're experiencing have been experienced countless times over by people in various stages of their own development, and you're not alone. That to me was uh, priceless, truly. And I'll be back this coming year to see what else I don't know, and what else I can pirate from wiser minds. They're there. The wiser minds are there. Um, the gentle souls are there, and the willingness to share is just constant.
I also think the different streams, Lawrence, work really well. So I can't stress enough the breadth of topics that you cover. Literally, there was stuff, as you say, Greg, there was stuff that I got there that I didn't know.
Mhm.
So, and I obviously have all my notes from both, and I can see my progression from year one to year two. But the different streams then really work as well. They're really well grouped together so that you can split off on the Saturday, usually Saturday afternoon, and see what area. And also the panel discussions are fantastic. Um, there was a really good session last year as well. Somebody live streamed themselves doing a presentation. So that's all really helpful stuff with marketing. Um, and a lot of different styles, huge amount of different styles and different authors. So you're literally, your senses are alive. You're learning every single moment of the day.
And one of the constant points of discussion is marketing. I think one of the things that we don't realize as we become writers, as we evolve as writers, is that we got to market our work. Um, you might have a publisher behind you, but the publisher's marketing will only go so far. And the author is generally well positioned to get to penetrate networks that the publisher can't. The publisher's taking a general approach, but specifically focused targeted marketing, that's something that every author needs to be aware of, and how to do it as painlessly as possible and as effectively as possible. And everybody was talking about it both years of the festival. It's a valuable topic, and really we can't talk about it enough.
So I go for the other aspect, which is about the fun of
Hmm.
the fun. Just coming, meeting like-minded people. And of course, I believe it's tax deductible. If you're coming from the United States, it's here. It's tax deductible because it's something which you're spending on your career, which you're spending on. It's part of the service that you provide. You have to invest in these things. So. That's the fun element. That's something enjoyable, pure enjoyment, meeting like-minded people, meeting people who are on the same journey you're on and who can give you some guidance on it. So that's what I love about it. It's a real fun weekend. We have a great time meeting people, chatting with people. And hopefully someday, Danielle, you can make it over here.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah.
Uh,
On the fun side of it, is there time built in for people, like Greg or other Americans or other foreigners to go out and explore, get to know Dublin?
Yeah, well, you're not foreigners here. Like, we've all got cousins. I've got cousins all over America, right? Seriously. And you're not. Americans are not foreigners in Ireland at all. Okay. Most of us have many family members over there. So we have, starting the Friday morning, we have a session taken to one of the best libraries, oldest libraries in the world, Marshall's Library, which has some rare, only editions of some early books. And that's going to be an amazing session Friday morning. And then we have, there's a dinner on the Friday night and then an award dinner on the Saturday night where people can get up again. And if they want to sing a song, we've had ex-pop stars. We've had lots of improv things happening on the Saturday night. And then people will go on Sunday afternoon and do some other tours around Dublin or go wherever they want. We've had people spend the whole week in Ireland. It's really up to in the individual how much time they have to come and visit Ireland.
I probably would say, Lawrence, most people I spoke to did have time in Ireland either before or after. So most of them would have some tours and different things booked in. The conference itself is so immersive, Danielle, that you land on the Friday afternoon, let's say to the hotel, if you're not taking part in the activity in the morning, and you literally will not leave. Because there's so much happening. There's so many people there. You will find, as people do presentations, you'll find the people you want to ask questions to, and you'll end up chatting with them. You may go for lunch with them. You have the dinner that night, and really, before you know it, it's going to be Sunday afternoon. So, but yes, there is, and everyone's very helpful, very friendly. They'll tell you where to tour, where not to tour, where to get tickets. So there's so much help available depending on the time you've allocated.
Hmm, that's great. You touched on a topic earlier that there's not just writers present, but you said, agents and publishers. Obviously, Greg has a dual hat here. He is an author, but he is our acquisition editor as well, which is how a lot of authors have come to us. So can you talk more about that? Do they go looking to make connections, or is there a time to like a meet and greet, or how does that work with pe industry professionals?
Yeah, we're not really focused on that. We don't have the pitch your agent sessions, which I know they have some in the US. I've seen them, where you panels and you pitch. We don't really do that. The publishing world here is quite small because, I mean, New York City, Manhattan has got more population than Ireland, okay? So we're quite small. We don't have big publishers. We've had people coming, usually every year. There's one or two will come and informally either speak. We've had an agent, publishers from London. We've had Greg coming over. So we usually have somebody coming over. But this is not the festival if you think you want to pitch your book to an agent. There are big ones in the US with US agents and editors. So this is not the festival to go and come and pitch your book.
yeah.
Good to
And
know.
speaking to that from uh, my, I guess, somewhat unique perspective, um, I attend the festival. Yeah, the first year I attended the festival, I was wide-eyed and just absolutely thrilled that I was dealing in the presence of other writers in Ireland. I came as a writer. Um, both times I've been there, I've come as a writer, and I put my editing in the background. Um, if it comes up during the course of conversation, so be it. But I agree with Laurence. I don't think there's an emphasis on necessarily making professional connections. If it happens organically, so be it. But I mean, at Kohler, we always tend to say that it's the book that matters, and I think it's the same thing at the festival. It's the book that matters. It's the writer that matters, and the journey of being a writer. There are people there who are at different stages of the journey and have different roles, but everybody comes together to talk about the craft, and that is most important. Now that said, um, I'm delighted to have made contact with authors who are very, very talented and maybe need a break. Um, so that's just part of the but that's not an agenda point. That is not why I'm there. I don't think that's why anybody's there. I think it's there just to celebrate the process of being a writer.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have a lot of loyalty, Lawrence. Like I felt like a newbie the first year I went because you do have a lot of repeat attendees. And I think that says a lot about the conference and about the people that go. And, all very established, various stages in their career. So I think that that's the magic of it. When you talk about the conference you were at in New York, that's how I feel about the festival in Dublin, the International Dublin Writers Festival. That's how I feel, and I will never forget it, irrespective of how my career takes off. I won't forget what I learned and the people I met there. So I think that's really important. I think people nearly have to experience it to understand it, but for those that can't travel, they will get a huge wealth of information across the board by looking at the various webinars.
Yeah.
And it is great fun. Um, there's you're really energized every moment that you're there, and it's there there are a lot more laughs than there are frowns.
That's great, Danielle. Any more questions? Any more questions from anyone about the whole thing, experience of being live, going, meeting people at an event? Does anyone attend other events? Anyone any experiences they want to share?
Yeah, feel free to drop them in the Q&A and I'll read them out. Like Annmarie was saying, you have the videos that we're going to be giving people. It's possible that some people maybe had never heard of this and are just learning about it now, and maybe it's not feasible for them to go this year. So just to kind of tease them, is there anything on your wish list for next year, or is there anything that you've always wanted to do that maybe you're putting together? You've done this for so long, but there still might be some things that are on this, oh, next year we're gonna have so and so, or
Yeah, we had a clown a couple of years ago, okay, and that was really good. He was an author and a clown. He was really good.
of
And
course,
we've also
yeah.
had, we've also had, he came from Canada, and we've also had, and he's been all over the world doing a sort of show. He does his author thing and his
Oh,
show.
yes.
We had a great, Game of Thrones. I don't know if you've heard of Game of Thrones,
Oh yeah,
the
that
TV
show,
series.
sure.
Yeah, we had one of the actors from Game of Thrones, a really nice guy, about 6'5". No, I think he was one of the big giant guards, He was really good. He's written a book, okay? And I don't know if you've heard of Vikings. Have you heard of Vikings, the TV
Sure.
series?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the scriptwriter from
Oh
Vikings.
wow.
He came and he talked about all his process. He had, and there's some videos of him actually about his whole process of creating characters and how he did that and his research. He was really insistent because I mistakenly said there were 79 episodes and he corrected me. There's 80 something episodes because I missed out on the new ones. Okay. So, and he's the only person I know of who's ever written, single-handedly written that many TV episodes. Okay. Really
Wow.
amazing. Who am I hoping for in the future? We like that mix of story and movie and all of that. So
Mm.
another big, and hopefully Tom Donnelly will now introduce us to some other big Marvel people. He works with Marvel and those sort of people. So that's always, a little bit of Hollywood
Yeah.
sprinkle of
You had
fair.
Brian Ferry. Do you remember Brian Ferry was there? That was so much fun last year.
Yeah,
His wife had written the book about her time in rock and roll. That was just, was it Brian Ferry? No, Sharkey.
yeah. Liam
Yeah,
Shark. Yeah,
Yeah, that's who it was. Sorry. Yeah, that was great
that's all
fun.
right. Brian
Yeah,
Ferry would be good. Yeah, we can.
yeah.
We'll like Brian
We'll
Ferry.
get him.
He's written a book. So that's where we're going. Magic, the magic of story. Take it further. You never know what's going to happen. One of the producers, we had a Hollywood producer here, and it took him 20 years to get a book about sharks, that big Shark Mageddon book, a movie, and it took him 20 years to get that book made into a movie. Now it's in three, I think. Three, he's on maybe on the third one. So we had him. That was Ken Ashley. We had him come a couple of years. So that sort of thing. We like a bit of magic along with our stories to give us hope, to give us hope. Someday we'll see it in a TV show. Who knows?
We had a great story last year. Do you remember Lawrence Shawn, who ended up on TV in America? Do you remember Sean? He was at a book signing and he had written a book and there was nobody had turned up. It was 5 o'clock in the day and a little child came up to him and asked him a question and he was so nice to her and he was videoed and he went viral. And I think did he sell 100,000 copies of his book just because of that? Literally that one video that went viral on across TikTok. Now he was fantastic. That again, that's sort of linking into marketing a little bit and the power of social media. That was a great story.
That
Yeah,
was
for
good.
your
Yeah,
kids walking
absolutely.
around. Yeah. All right. Well, we're wrapping up here. Is there anything that you want to leave, because we're doing this kind of between our two audiences. So is there any kind of message that you just want to leave with the gang back in the, Kohler books or American audience? Any just final words?
Well, just want to thank Cola Books, of course, for facilitating this and for allowing your authors to see this and to have an opportunity to get extra free material and to encourage everyone. You don't have to come to Dublin. You can go to a local festival. I've spoken at festivals all over the United States and I've had great fun. Go to writers' festivals, enjoy yourself. This summer, enjoy it, okay? Get out and go to a festival and report back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great idea.
But if you have the opportunity and the ability to go to Dublin, there's something special about this festival. The atmosphere, the location, um, you're surrounded by writers. To me, it is the best festival um, by a fairly wide margin that I've ever attended.
There you
Mm.
go.
Thank you, Greg.
And you'll see Greg and Anne-Marie there. So, and Lawrence,
Mhm.
of course, although he might be running around a bit. So,
A little bit, yeah.
yeah,
You never see Lawrence for more than about 30 seconds at a time.
right. I assume. All right. Well, we will put this up on our website, and as mentioned, we will everybody who participated will have access to these videos. So look in your inbox for that. Other than that, I thank you all for participating. This was a great talk, and even I learned a lot. So it was great. So thank you all for being here.
Thanks,
Great.
everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you,
Thank
Bye.
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.